Good evening and salutations, my B&B fans. So, let's start off with Quinn and Carter. So, Quinn pretty much tells Carter, hey, listen, I know about you in Paris. How long has that been going on for? And, Carter's like, yeah, we pretty much kind of ended it, because Quinn at this point was like, no wonder why, Paris said no to Zende. And, Carter just got that look on his face like, yeah, I'm ending it and it's done and it's over. And then for some odd reason, this guy decided to make a left turn. It's like he literally says the only reason pretty much why he was with Paris is because he couldn't get over Quinn. And I'm like, I don't like Quinn just had that look on her face. Like she didn't even know what to say to that. And it's one of those things where Carter's like, yep, being involved with another Forrester woman, you would sit there and think that at some point, this is LA, okay? You can pretty much throw a penny and find any hot chick. What is the issue at this point, bro? This is the problem when you're trying to be with somebody that you work with, okay? I mean, granted, even if they didn't work together, it still would have been bad knowing that they're friends and everything like that and be involved with somebody else's um, being with somebody else's woman, being with somebody else's significant other. I don't want to sit there and say being with somebody else's woman because it feels possessive, but you know what I mean. Um, it, there's a point because Quinn came in there to give him back his key. Um, and I'm sitting there thinking, why are you just now doing that? Why are you just now giving back, this man's key? And of course, she's sitting there talking about getting over him and, Carter's like, I missed you. And she's like, I missed you too. And I'm like, I don't know how Eric would feel about you sitting there saying that you missed another man, especially Carter. Especially after she had that whole little tiffy about, Donna working there. But there's one point where they're standing next to each other, with face to face, and they're holding hands, and I'm just like, the hell are y'all doing? It looks as though when um Carter says something, I don't know if he's like, I can't get over you or something like that, or missed you or whatever. I can't exactly remember what he said. But he has that look like he's attempting to try to still be with her. And I'm like, bro, have you not learned a damn thing? I felt like that's literally what he was doing. Like he said something to her, like he wanted to still be with her. I'm like, do you not understand this woman came in there and she's questioning your relationship with Paris, knowing that Paris is with Zende, or that like they're supposed to like. What are you doing? What are you doing? And it's so confusing. It's so confusing that hell, I got lost my own damn sentence. So you got that whole thing going on. So let's talk about Steffi. I'm gonna be honest. What the hell are they doing with her? What are they doing with her character? Now Steffi thinks that she's married. She's still married to Liam. I'm looking at this whole thing and I'm like, well, if you didn't have kids, I can see how you might would have played it off a little bit. But now you have kids and you have a child by somebody else. Like, how are they going to sit there and make that work moving forward? I mean, they had this look on their face. Liam and Rich had this look on their face like, maybe we sit there and play along. This way we don't, I don't know, serve it back psychologically or something like that. I'm like, you do realize that one day I gotta sit there and tell this girl that well, one, they're not married anymore, and two, you have a child by somebody else. We're just going to just skip past that. What are we doing? Um, so I want to see how long that's going to play out. Now, Brooke got there, and after Brooke finding out that Steffi's okay, Brooke is like, "Well, where's Ridge at?" And you just had this awkward silence with Liam, Hope, and Taylor just being like, like you let me get this straight. My daughter is still in the hospital, and now you want to sit there and start asking about your relationship status with Reg. You really feel like this is the best time to do that. Now, at some point, Liam wants to talk to Steffi, wants to sit there and see Steffi, and Hope is like, all right, fine, whatever. And Brooke makes something out of nothing. Okay, she's all like, well, are you okay with Liam sitting there seeing Steffi? And I'm like, well, why the hell would she actually not be okay with that? And she keeps insisting on, well, you should have went in there with her. You should have went in there with her. I was like, no, bro, let's not do this, okay? We're not doing this, okay? You need to sit there and worry about your relationship with your husband or ex-husband. Let's be honest. It's looking like it's going that way. Don't start trying to meddle in with your daughter and her relationship. Okay, you got enough stuff that you got to deal with. Okay, let's not pivot where it doesn't need to be pivoted. Okay, I know that doesn't make any sense, but my point is just mind your damn business, more or less. I was trying to say it in a more tactful way, but I really couldn't do it. Um, Sheila is skulking around the hospital. This is after she was sitting there talking to Deacon. And Deacon was just trying to make sure that she's okay, and yeah, he's just worried about her, which I think is actually nice. It's always good to sit there and see Deacon. Deacon is my favorite. Now, one of my amazing subscribers, and I'm just gonna kind of shortcut to a second, not shortcut, but pivot to a minute, was asking me, who's my favorite actress on the show. And I really had to sit there and think about that. And I was like, no one. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't like this. I mean, I don't hate any of the actresses that are on there. I just don't really have a favorite. Um, and I can't sit there and say that for the other shows because I pick my favorite. But in this show, I just can't really sit there and say I actually like anyone. I mean, to be honest, until Deacon came in there, I was like, I didn't really like any of the males that much either. I didn't hate them. I like Liam was okay. I mean, he seemed like he was kind of typical screw up a little bit, but he seemed like he was a decent enough character. Um, Carter, I don't know about him. Zende is another one. I'm just like, I just don't really know about him either. Mostly because he comes across as a bit pretentious. Um, Thomas, it's okay, I guess. I don't really. And at this point, I think everyone knows how I felt about Liam. I mean, not Liam, Finn, which I equate to a sock puppet. So that's pretty much that's pretty much the extent I'm gonna sit there and give him. But Deacon, something about again, I feel more because Deacon reminds me of the character from Cobra Kai, Johnny, which is kind of interesting because apparently he was actually in those movies. But he just has that whole 80ness to himself that I really like. Anyway, like I said, he was just there to support Sheila. Now Sheila is scoping around the hospital, eavesdropping on Taylor and Bridget's conversation as far as Steffi, regaining her memory. At this point, and I should have said this before, Ridge did ask Steffi about, what happened, and Steffi doesn't have any answers. She just can't remember. Um, and now we know that Steffi can't remember anything past a certain date period. Apparently the date period where, her and Liam were a thing because reasons. So we're going to do that storyline. I don't know how they're going to do that storyline because they have kids now, but Okay, and also, Liam is married to somebody else, so that should be. I'm really curious to sit there and see how they're going to do it. One thing I will sit there and give them credit for, I will give them credit for, is for the most part, they found little ways to hide um, the actress' pregnancy. And I say they found little ways because they did a whole lot better than on GH when they had Lulu pregnant. I mean, after a while, they didn't even bother to try. They just said screw it. They literally just said screw it. And I got my own little issues with that. But yeah. So Sheila is overhearing Taylor and Bridges' conversation about Steffi. Maybe she may remember her, like she may gain her memories at some point, but we don't know yet, and yada yada yada. And honestly, to tell you the truth, I don't know if this actually made Sheila feel better or feel worse because they don't even know. They don't know. Taylor's worried, and so Sheila is kind of in the same boat. But to be fair, Sheila should probably be on a plane going anywhere other than skulking around the damn hospital like a damn weirdo. Um, and also in a place that, well, let's be honest, that she's not really welcome in. So she doesn't really have any business being in a damn hospital. She can't sit there and see Finn one last time. Um, this whole low point thing, and I'm like, here's the thing, I get it. She lost her child. Now, granted, this was her fault, but she lost her child. I'm sitting there thinking, so we're just going to totally ignore the fact that Sheila has three other children at this point. I mean, let's be honest, they've been doing that for quite a while when Sheila first got to town and she was fixated on trying to know and get to know Finn, right? Plot point. That's literally what it comes down to is plot point because everything else is just makes no damn sense. I think that's about it. I'm just wondering, moving forward, are they actually going to sit there and try to revisit this whole Carter and Quinn thing now that, Carter pretty much said that Paris was more or less a placeholder because he couldn't be with Quinn. Um, and, it's interesting because I don't know if the actor that plays Carter is still writing for his character or these characters, but it's just like, what are you doing with Carter at this point? What are we doing with him? You go from Quinn, and Quinn wants to sit there and go back to Eric's. Now he's just kind of just in limbo. Now he's fixated on more or less, trying to be with or trying to fight his feelings with Paris. And then Quinn comes in, and now he tells Quinn this whole thing. So I'm like, what are you doing? Like, where is this direction going at this point? Um, Show is interesting. I give him that much. I mean, it hasn't been interesting for the past couple of nearly 2 weeks, but it's starting to get back to a point where it's getting interesting. I wonder when Grace is going to sit there and rear her head and be like, "No, I don't want you to sit there and be with my daughter," and treating her daughter like she is a 12-year-old child. So you got that whole thing going on, but it seems like it's getting back to an interesting groove. I know some people have read, and I don't sit there and say my comments, but the site that I was on, somebody was saying how this show is so repetitive and this, that, and the third, and like, yeah, and yet I keep watching it. And it's like, I understand. I get it. So yeah, with that being said, I think that's about it. I'm gonna go. Thank you for watching. Be safe. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next video.